Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reference Point. I'm your host, Dave Cokerhook. As you can see, we have a slightly different background right now. We're here to have the second episode of our conversation with Edwin Edibiri, who's the Chief Happiness Officer of the Happy Neighborhood Project and other things that he's been telling us about. But we had a little technical difficulty at the studio, and so we had to reschedule, and I'm doing this from home rather than at the studio, but I wanted to let you know that. But we're still here, and we're still going to get this information done. So let's see. Edwin, good evening. Welcome back to Reference Point. It's great to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I wanted us to go into some detail on some of the things we didn't have a chance to dive into in greater depth in the last episode. Specifically, I wanted to talk a little bit more about happiness co-op, and a verified happy business and all that sort of thing, because the activity we talked about last time had a lot to do with your opportunities to just spread the word on an individual basis. But your project has expanded greatly, and you're now doing a lot of other things. So I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, part of the things we do in the Happy Neighborhood Project is we host two very big events every year. Among all the smaller events we hold on a weekly basis, we hold two big events. One of them is coming up, that is the International Day of Happiness, which most people don't really know, but it is there. And we hope that more and more people will know about it. And actually, it was something that my organization also supported in bringing about. And United Nations passed a resolution making March 20th International Day of Happiness.
Good. So March 20th. Okay.
March 20th. Yes. So we are going to be celebrating that, and we are going to inviting a lot of business people. So we kind of focus on business people, because one of the things that I do is encourage businesses to build on a foundation of happiness.
Okay.
It's already very hard to succeed in business, and to succeed without bringing happiness along is very disappointing,
Sure.
So I encourage people to bring happiness along, so that way every day you are happy in the process of becoming successful in this business. So International Day of Happiness is coming up. We call it the IDH 2024. And I'm sure that, we'll make the link available, for people to be able to register, or they just go to happyneighborhoodproject.com. There will be a tab that says 2024 for IDH.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this, encouraging businesses to embrace the happiness concept, and how you go about doing that.
Right. So one of the things that we do is we have the Happy Co-op. And the Happy Co-op is really attracting business owner, whether it's small business owner, middle-sized business, and we even have big businesses that are coming as partners to us. And the whole idea is focus on happiness. The foundation is happiness, and the collaboration is encouraged. So we kind of started this very intensely during the pandemic, because people were like locked at home. People were seeing their hard-earned money just fly out in the air. Businesses were going down. And so I encourage people. I say, hey, wait a second. Don't give up quite yet, Why don't we get a bunch of businesses together? So in networking, we start forming breakout rooms where people can discuss how to collaborate with each other. And some people started pivoting from their existing business into something else based on who they were talking to. And so when we started the co-op then was to attract these people who are like-minded, who wants to focus on spreading happiness while they are growing their business, and to kind of really support each other. So we have the co-op. And then part of the co-op, we have what we call the Verify Happy Business.
Okay.
So the Verify Happy Business simply is the business that goes through a process where we can verify that they are really committed to great customer service. They are committed to taking care of their employees. In other words, they put happiness first.
So how do you verify that?
So they come in, they complete a form, and then we look into their LinkedIn if they have LinkedIn. We look into all the social media that's available. We look at what they post on their website. And then if there's any complaint out there about them, then we also keep that into consideration and have a conversation with them. But the bottom line is that they are pledging. So this is where it was really exciting when we first started.
Okay.
Now, if a business wasn't doing really well before they came to us, but now they say, hey, you know what? Maybe we didn't know that much, but now we do. We are going to treat them from now on. We're not going to put too much emphasis on the past, So if they say, hey, we're going to really treat our customer well, we're going to treat our employee well, and there's a third factor, and this is so much for bigger businesses, is we have to treat our shareholder well also.
Right.
So once they have that, then that starts to affect the decision that they make.
Sure.
Okay, because it's easy to just say, oh, we're going to close down this factory because it will help us to meet our shareholder requirement and show more profit.
Sure.
But if you are building on the foundation of happiness, you're not going to do that. You're going to call the employee that's affected in that factory and say, hey, guys, here is where we are, and this is where we want to go. How can we go together? How can we do this? And you'll be surprised. Some people will be saying, okay, you know what? Maybe we can take a little pay cut, so that we can pass this period. And as long as you can give us bonus once we're able to accomplish it, and everybody will agree, take a little bit of the pain for the gain, because they know that if there is no business, everybody is gone.
Everybody loses, right?
Everybody loses. But that doesn't work if they don't trust the people that are involved, because they've been in the past where they take a little cut, and then when the gain comes, it doesn't go back to them. So with small business, we don't have that. It's still the same issue, because if you have one employee and that one employee don't trust you, it's still the same impact, But if they trust you, you can communicate with them and say, hey, we're going through hard time, or the project we're trying to get did not come through. This is the impact it have on us. You can discuss stuff and know fully well that everybody will have to make it.
And have you seen this to have been, I mean, the concept that you're talking about is fantastic, and it makes a lot of sense from that perspective. But then there's the question of, in the real world, has the application of the concept been coming to fruition? Have businesses actually done this? Have you seen the results? Can you point to specific examples without naming names and stuff like that, where this actually went the way that you just described?
Absolutely. Yeah. And a great example, because again, we kind of took off on this during the pandemic. So that was so many examples that we can share. I'll talk about a restaurant. The moment every restaurant was shutting down, they were complaining and all this kind of stuff. And one of the owners that keep coming to our event, keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, and in the collaboration realize, wait a second, if I make a commitment to my customer in the past and I've treated them really well, I can go back to these customers now, So I said, this is a good test. You will know if you treated them well or not, okay?
Right.
And so reach out to them and see how many of these customers of yours are willing to buy gift card and help you to generate revenue now. And with the fact that they trust you that you will deliver when things get better.
Right.
And it was a hit for those who were part of our community that tested it. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it would never have worked if they did not embrace the concept. Because first of all, they themselves will not even have the clear mind to even say that, because they were like, oh, how is that going to work? But when they understand where it is, the employees were very cooperative because they also understand what's going on. And so some of them were working a little bit harder than they normally does. Some of them were taking a little bit pay cut than they normally does. And everything, it was beautiful. Yes.
And it all worked out. Okay, well, fantastic. Well, I think it's helpful for the folks who are watching the show to hear about specific examples. And I'm pretty confident that you'll be able to point to dozens of examples where this has taken place. So
absolutely.
How many businesses would you say are currently participating in the the happy business environment?
So we have 3 different levels. So the first level was the biggest part, which is when I started this March 20th, 2020, because of the pandemic. I made a commitment that we are going to make the online networking free forever. Okay.
Right.
Now, I mean, I opened my big mouth. I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into, but I have kept my promise since then, and we have figured out other ways to generate revenue. Again, which comes back to the concept that I'm sharing about building on the foundation of happiness and practicing what we preach, Yes. And so we were able to take that concept to bigger companies that say, hey, you know what? We like what you guys are doing. We want to be part of happiness brand. And they were able to cut us a check. And so we didn't have to, break our promise of doing free. So that larger group, at the height of the pandemic, we were having close to 20,000 registration a month.
That's individuals who were participating in your monthly events.
Exactly. Okay. Yes.
Okay. And can you have any sense of how many of those were businesses?
And all of those were businesses.
Oh, really?
Because we were catering to business people, yes. So they were either, the primary focus for Happy Neighborhood Project were really business people.
Okay.
Because, and I have a separate organization before this time that I call the I Am Happy Project. That was focused to the individuals. That was back in the recession of 2008 and 2009. And we were focusing on individuals. So this time around, we decided to focus on businesses,
Yeah. Got it. And that helps clarify some things for me that I wasn't totally clear on. Now, do you still have the individual program operating through your network of supporters and things, or has everything really shifted in the direction of the Happy Neighborhood Project in the business community?
It's kind of shifted, into the direction of, because of just the resources to maintain too,
No, and I understand that, and that makes sense because the how do I want to say this? When you think about it, and you look at the impact that the business community can have, there are it has a multiplication effect, because if they have anywhere, they may have 1, they may have 12, they may have 50 employees. Okay, they're going to have dozens, if not hundreds, of customers. They're going to have other organizations that they need to interact with, vendors and things like that. So the potential leverage impact is pretty broad when you talk about helping businesses adopt and work within this kind of a framework. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. And then when you go down, we have about 4,600 of those that are actually member of our co-op, because we set up the Happy Co-op.
Right.
So, and these are people that actually sign up and commit to doing business with each other and supporting each other.
Oh, so the co-op, okay. I get that now. So the co-op are individual businesses that are working with other businesses that have made the commitment. Okay.
That is correct.
You had mentioned in our first show that there's a lot of international activity. So these are businesses all over the planet, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the beauty of the online, and if you can say, because we are able to do it what we are doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unusual that you jump into one of our events and
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting next to somebody from a different country,
Right, right.
you're sitting next to a person from a different continent, okay?
Sure,
So it's and then you could be sitting next to somebody from your next door neighbor, so
sure.
it's completely it's totally local, regional, national, and then of course global. Yeah.
Edwin, you're still having regular meetings, happy neighborhood type meetings, right? Are they monthly, quarterly, weekly, daily? How does this play out?
So right now we're just going through the process we call the HNP, that's Happy Neighborhood Project 2.0, okay?
Okay,
Where we've kind of restructured everything. And because what happened was during the pandemic, when the local chamber of commerces were closed, they were trying to figure out what they were going to do.
right, right,
A lot of the civic organizations were not having their meeting. And so a lot of this that support, like the Rotary or the Kiwanis, people that were supporting businesses were kind of really shut down. There were no local networking going on. So we
right.
were trying to expand to help to fill that vacuum. So we were really doing off
Okay.
meeting. We got to a point where we were doing like 60 plus event every week.
Oh, wow.
And we were very, very fortunate that we had a really large group of volunteers, we call the
Sure.
co-hosts. At one point we had over 220 co-hosts that were helping to function the event. But as the pandemic kind of cooled off
Mm-hmm.
and places started to open up, we did not want to compete with the local chamber of commerce, because they can
Got it.
do a better job with our local business. The civic organizations, Rotary Club, Kiwanis, they can build a
Sure.
better networking locally. So we started to kind of combine some of the events to create a more regional, nationwide, and international
International
presence.
events
So now we still host about 25 different events every week.
every week. Okay, but they're going to be regional or national or international in focus.
Exactly. So we might have like a West Coast group or East Coast group or
Got it.
South group. Then we have Canada group or Asia group, and Europe group.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming that you could participate in any one of those events should you so desire. You might be in South Africa and want to join the group that's on the Western US group. You could do that, yes?
Absolutely, you can do that. The only the exciting thing that we start to experience and which our attendees also experience, and it's a beautiful thing, is the impact of the time zone.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let me just quickly look at right now. I want to give you an example. So right now, if we are having this meeting now, and folks in London it's 11 something p.m. Okay.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But in India it's almost 5 a.m. Okay.
Yes.
so
Yes.
so so Sydney is very happy to join us because they are 10:30 in the
In the
morning the
morning.
next
Exactly.
day,
Yeah.
and so we see people jump in. So now I keep a time clock and clock conversion in so many different countries. So I know, okay, I'm going to this meeting. What time zone am I?
Right. Yeah.
Am I eight
Yeah.
hours ahead? Am I 13 hours ahead? And then you come to the time saving period that we just experienced.
Right.
And whereas
Oh, that throws everything
it
off.
throws everything off.
Yeah.
So
Craziness.
like Hawaii doesn't change time.
China, Arizona
And
doesn't
so
change time.
so before
Yeah,
time
yeah,
zone, they're 3 hours behind California. All of a sudden, the time is saying they are 2 hours behind California,
yeah.
but it's thrown out. But we kind of program that into our system over time because we've had
Mm,
enough experience. So
right,
that this time around, during this time, the time zone change, it was only one event that
right.
missed the time. So
Sure.
yeah. Yeah.
So with HNP 2.0, Happy Neighborhood Project 2.0, is that are the different meetings and their scheduling and their links, etc. Is that on your website?
Yes, everything is on the website. So if they go to happyneighborhoodproject.com, there will be a tab that says events.
Got it.
And under that event, there's a drop down that says networking, and it has all the meetings here.
Perfect. Cool. We have maybe 8 minutes or so left in this session. Now, I wanted to shift conversation just a little bit, because one of the things that you had mentioned to me before, I don't remember if we addressed it in the last show, but you and I had talked about it, was the kind of experience you have had of bringing the happiness message to young people in high schools and middle schools and stuff like that. I'm very interested for you to talk a little bit about what you've observed as the impact of that on, the generations that are coming up.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's really exciting, I think I may have mentioned in the first show, that I actually went out and I interviewed over 1,000 individuals on the subject of happiness. So I have data, and so I take that experience and I say, okay, where would be the best way to use this experience? Because I was actually pioneering a whole new concept. And at least I haven't heard about the concept before then, And so it's a whole new concept because, David, one of the things we all know is that happiness is an emotion, just like so many different emotions that we experience as human beings, right?
Yes.
So one of the things I started to find out as I talked to more people about the subject, I started to realize that if you just keep happiness as an emotion, then as an individual, you are powerless. And you go through emotional roller coaster. So when things are good, you are happy. When they're not good, you are not happy. And you're just all over the place, okay?
Sure.
And that's not fun, okay?
Yeah, right.
So I decided, okay, what would be the better way? I figure, what if we move from happiness as an emotion to happiness as a skill? And so people are like, wow, we can do that. And then, like they said, it's kind of hard to teach an old dog a new set of tricks,
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go to adults because there would be too much struggle and just, So I went to children first, and they were so receptive. And so that's when I started to realize it's not just happiness as a skill, it's happiness as a learnable skill.
As a learnable skill.
Yeah. Wow. So if we can teach kids 1, 2, 3, and we can teach them ABC, and we can teach them all this stuff, we can teach them how to be happy because their kids are already naturally happy. It's just that they don't know why or they don't know what is going on. Sure. And so before people start messing them up, what if we can teach them? So that way they can be able to be consistent. So I used to go to like elementary school, I went to middle school, I went to high school, and even to some colleges in terms of teaching the concept. Yeah.
Fantastic. Is that where the 10 ways to be happy, is that where did that come to be as part of this happiness as a skill concept?
Right. So what actually happened in the beginning days, after interviewing that many people were encouraging me to write a book, and I'm like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. I've talked to a lot of people, but I don't know how that translates to a book, And so, but I know I had data, I had information. So I said, okay, why don't I try, first of all, instead of taking the time out to go try to write a book, let me just put together something that can be useful right away to people. And so I came up with the 10 way to be happy. I don't know if it's seen clearly, okay? But I definitely, there we go. Yeah. So this was very helpful to people like right away because it kind of, this is what people tell me that make them happy and stuff like that. And then in practicing this and putting it to work, that's when we started to come up with the whole concept. I say, okay, wait a second. I see the impact this is having on people's life. How do we now translate it to skills? How do we now translate it to learnable skills? Yeah.
So when you talk about the learnable skills in the
Yes,
communication to young people, what do you, 3 minutes or so, maybe 4 minutes left. So can you articulate one or two specific skills, quote unquote skills, that would be the sort of thing that you would deliver to young people, but anybody really, because as long as you don't put a barrier into learning, you can learn at any age. So what are the
absolutely.
skills?
Yeah.
Give us a
So
couple.
one very powerful one, and it's also very simple, okay? I call it the 24-hour promise, okay? And the way it works is you wake up in the morning, and you can do it anytime, but I just choose in the morning because it gives a fresh start, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You wake up in the morning, go straight to the mirror in the bathroom, okay? Or if it's in your bedroom, wherever the mirror is,
Mm-hmm.
look at the mirror and smile, okay? And say, I promise to be happy for the next 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. Now, again, let me qualify this. If you're going through very hard time right now and you're listening to me and you say, Edwin, give me a break. 24 hours is like eternity, okay? Forget that, okay?
Yeah.
Then look at that mirror and promise yourself you're going to be happy for the next 1 hour, okay?
Yeah.
And if 1 hour is tough, promise whatever length of time you think you can do. But you need to start the baby step. And what happened is that, I use the 24-hour, but it could be 1 hour, it could be 6 hours, it could be 10 minutes. It doesn't really matter. It's the practice, because practice does not make perfect. And this is one of the things I teach the kids, okay? Because we've been told practice make perfect, practice make. No, there is nothing like that. No perfection here, okay?
Right.
Practice makes improvement. So the moment you start to practice, your 10 minutes can become 15 minutes. It can become 30 minutes. It can become, and one skill that I kind of add into that mix is what I call self-compassion, okay?
Sure.
We are compassionate to a lot of people, but we are not really compassionate to ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you say you're going to do 24 hours and then like 6 hours into it, you break it, don't beat yourself up.
Give yourself
Okay.
just
Give yourself a break.
give yourself a break and whatever. I think what you're articulating here is extremely relevant, because it's along the lines of repetition, consistency is what creates a habit, or even a skill. If you wanted to become an auto mechanic, you need to do it. You need to do it regularly. You need to do it often. Fixing cars, or in any skill area.
If you want to play basketball,
If you want to
you
play
want to play
basketball,
football, you want to sing, So if we can apply it in all this other stuff, why
yeah,
can't we apply it to happiness? It's just basic skill development.
fantastic. Okay, so Edwin, we've got to pretty much wrap up here. Is there I know that you have the website. How do people communicate about this with you or with your organization, and where can you get a list of the skills and things like that? What's the best way for people to move forward?
Well, for one, I'm coming up with a book finally, okay? After
Okay.
after after more than 10 years of doing this. So I'm coming out with a book. So it should be coming out really pretty soon, and we'll be able to direct people. The book is Happiness as a Learnable Skill, okay?
Happiness
And
is a
so we're going
learnable
to have
skill.
some of the very critical skills all lined up, how to use it and all this kind of stuff. And so if they go to happyneighborhoodproject.com, they will be able to see a link to the steps and to the
All the
book.
information will be up on the website. Well, Edwin, this has been a phenomenal second conversation. I'm so thrilled to have met you and to have you as a contact in my life. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've learned a lot here. I know I have. And Edwin, again, thank you very much. And folks, we'll see you next time on Reference Point.